Nigeria's eagerness to do business with countries all over the world is helping to deepen its partnership with European countries, especially Belgium and Luxembourg, which will be hosting a business forum in September this year. Speaking at a cocktail event to raise awareness about the event in Lagos, Deputy Head of Mission at the Embassy of the Kingdom of Belgium, Veronique Bernard, says the eagerness to do business has been noticed by the Kingdom of Belgium, which is why it has partnered with the country over the years in various areas, including provision of vaccines for Nigerians during the pandemic, the cleanup of the Niger Delta, and various trade missions between Nigeria and Belgium. Speaking on the advantages of the forum, Secretary General of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture for the Belgium, Luxembourg, Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, NPO, known as CBL-ACP for short, Thomas de Boer, and consultant of Nigeria-Belgium, Luxembourg Forum, Collins Weke, said that the upcoming event will open Nigerian companies to business opportunities in Brussels and by virtue the European Union.
You look at the advantages for the Nigerian companies, I would say, is to get introduced to the Luxembourg and the Belgian economy, and really to get connected to Luxembourg and Belgian companies. So the main focus of our business forum is to connect. We are focusing on the B2B, B2G meetings because we really want the Nigerian companies to come with us to Belgium in September and get results. We want them to get business. So when they go back to Nigeria, they can be an ambassador of Belgium, can be an ambassador of Luxembourg.
There is obviously very much growing interest by Nigerian businesses that want to partner with Belgian businesses and vice versa. In terms of Belgian businesses that are seeing the opportunities in Nigeria, they know that Nigeria is not a perfect country. There are challenges, but they also see within those challenges quite a lot of opportunities and are ready and willing and able to engage. And so what the Business Forum is doing is actually organizing the table, getting both sides together, doing matchmaking, but at the same time, giving opportunities for business to government, some kind of collaborations. So you have the business to business, B2B, but also B2G, which is a business to government.
And we have consultant to the forum, Collins Weke, joining us now in the studio. Collins, it's great to see you. We're used to having you join us from Brussels, talking foreign affairs, but now you can talk both foreign affairs and, of course, business. And we're also welcoming to the studio for the first time someone he works closely with, Thomas de Boer. That's the Secretary General of the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture for the Belgium, Luxembourg, Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, NPO. That's quite a mouthful.
Yes, thank
I
you.
wonder how you say that all the time. Gentlemen, pleasure having you on the program today. So, Thomas, I must ask you first things first. What sector of Nigeria's business environment is this forum targeting?
Yes, and first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here the first time. Well, looking at the different sectors, we are definitely looking at agriculture, we are looking at healthcare. The deputy of the ambassador also mentioned it. I think we have a lot of Belgian companies that are active in the healthcare sector on Nigeria. We also have cooperation with the Ministry of Health here in Nigeria with different Belgian companies. And then we are having ICT. We are looking also at real estate. So really, it's a variety of different sectors. Also, we cannot ignore oil and gas. It's still a very active sector here in Nigeria. But we want to focus on a big scope of different sectors that we believe Belgium and Luxembourg can create added value for the Nigerian economy.
And so what similarities do you see? You've been working with him and, working to get this on for a while. Some of those companies coming in for the first time, which areas do you think that they'll be interested in the first instance?
Yes. Well, I think some of the sectors that I mentioned, definitely For me personally, I think the key sectors are healthcare, construction, ICT, because I see that for Belgian companies, they can do a lot in those sectors. And then we look at R&D, because Belgium is quite known for R&D development in these sectors. I think we mentioned also recently you have drones that would be going over the fields and they see if there's any diseases in those crops. You also have now machines that are actually destroying the weeds around the crops with lasers. So these are all innovative developments that create added value so that the company can focus on growth to generate more business.
Right, and Collins, as a consultant to the forum and a Nigerian, you know what needs to be done here to expand the nation's economy. You know what areas that businesses need to focus on, and what more needs to be done. So, extending what he has said, what do you think are our most immediate needs in Nigeria that the foreign investors can really key into, aside from the ones that he has mentioned?
Yeah. There is, thank you so very much for having me. I'm so pleased to be here live for the first time after many years, providing analysis, virtually. Essentially, the need for Nigerian businesses is more in the area of, support, because there is acute lack of capacity in a number of areas. I do know for certain that production activities are things that, Nigerian businesses value a lot, okay? Unfortunately, the capacity to produce, rather than just shipping away raw materials, those capacities are not here. Now, we are also proponents of a situation where productions are done here, even if it's halfway. Take, for instance, cocoa. I mean, this region, the Lagos, Ogun State, Ondo State, they are very much known for cocoa. Now, what we have had in the past is a situation where, the cocoa beans are simply shipped, across the borders, and, rather than using the opportunity to at least have processed them here before they are then, shipped in barges, So just to leave it at one example, I mean, Thomas talked about agriculture, there are quite a lot of initiatives that could come out of Belgium to help to increase, not only capacity, but also efficiency, okay? He's talked about drones with lasers that can actually help in weeding. So you don't quite need, the massive manpower to be able to be crawling, down everywhere and so on and so forth. So I just want to say that every single sector, that's in summary, every single sector that Nigerian businesses, are keen on actually developing further. Belgium had, gone through all of those developmental trajectory very long ago, and innovation is something Belgium is known for. And so they don't have to go through some of those, teething problems that the Belgian business people had gone through. So they can actually work together in transferring knowledge and skills, building capacity here in exchange for the finished products that could then go to service the Belgian economy.
And I hope this will come to bear in the next question I'm about to ask. What everyone now is going through, climate change, is a very big question. A lot of issues, a lot of discussions surrounding climate change. There have been meetings in Africa, meetings in Europe, meetings in America about climate change and what the so-called Western world should be doing to better protect Africa, so to speak, in that area, because Africa is bearing the brunt of what the so-called world powers are doing. So is this going to be like a huge discussion come September?
Well, huge discussions, I don't know. But the thing is, we are encouraging African businessmen and women to think in their own best interest, okay? In foreign relations, in business, the first thing is to think of your own best interest. That is not to discountenance the fact that it is now becoming, a very important practice in business to also think in the best interest of your partner, because that is where you then have sustainability. Now, the whole narrative about climate change, yes, we know it's a major issue, and the world should prepare, for it. What needs to be done now has to be done collectively. But that collectively doesn't mean that Africa has got to bear the brunt of adaptations that affect developments here in Africa. So what that means essentially is, for instance, oil and gas is still big here. I mean, it may be dying in, some parts of the world, but as a matter of fact, it supports a whole segment of the economy. And so the phasing out of oil has got to be graduated. It's got to be a gradual process as far as Africa is concerned. And so we are telling people, yes, if you are, dealing in oil and gas, get on with it. But we also know that there are viable alternatives. If you look at the figures coming out of, Bureau of Statistics here in Nigeria, yeah, you will observe that non-oil exports are much more. Nigeria has been emphasizing that, but they have now gone beyond just talking about it and putting some incentives down to actually encourage people. And we have seen the result in the figures. And so we are also encouraging people to think beyond oil and, engage in those non-oil products.
And
yes.
Thomas, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think my thoughts are similar than my colleague Collins. And yes, I think, we are looking at many different sectors. And I think if you look at, of course, the European Union has the Green Deal, that is focusing on promoting green energy. And I think in Africa, mainly in the Southern African countries, you have a lot of focus now on hydro power. You have seen that the European Union has also signed deals with these Southern African countries and so on. And we also believe that there is definitely a big future still for gas, because, with the geopolitical situation in Europe, the gas prices have skyrocketed. So I think there's definitely an opportunity there for Nigerian gas to be exported to the European Union. But of course, for that to happen, you need the right facilities at the ports, you need the right storages at the port, and then you need to get the traffic going, for these transactions and ships to be coming, picking up the gas going to Europe and so on. So I think there needs to be a cooperation on both sides to identify what are the focus areas. But definitely it's something we cannot ignore. I think it's a global effort that we have to do. But of course, as Colin said, it has to, be taken into different steps. But I think it's good to already start looking at these green economies, gas, biogas, solar energy, and so on. Yeah.
And if I may just quickly add, I mean, we do know that the West are the biggest polluters, and there is absolutely nothing wrong in preaching the gospel of let the biggest polluters pay the biggest bill. And so, if they are serious about, migrating to clean energy, Africa should be supported in those, efforts by, pumping money here to support the businesses rather than, just harassing them, as a matter of fact, to give up their livelihood, just for the sake of clean energy.
Gentlemen, I must thank you for your time today on the program. First time in the studio here in Nigeria. Collins and Thomas, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so very much for
having
us. Yes, cheers.